What's up guys? Welcome back to my channel. Yes, let's address the elephant in the room. I chopped off my hair. I did it. Why not? Hair grows back. Let's live a little. So today we are talking about microblading. Kind of like a Q&A, some of the questions that I had, some of the questions that I received from you guys, and just kind of taking you through the process, the healing, the recovery, who is it for, who is it not for, and just kind of like my journey. So in this video, you're going to see my first session up to my second session recovery, day by day, and kind of what you should expect, what I'm feeling, and the final result for me. Now, I will clarify that the final result is going to vary from person to person. Why? Because sometimes you may retain more color on your eyebrows and your skin than other people. So for me, it just was different. For you, it might be different as well, or for someone that you're looking at a review. So just keep that in mind. Today we are jumping in. I'm going to kind of give you a demo of what we look like with makeup and no brows, just microbladed brows, and full makeup on top of the microbladed brows. If it cuts your time, if it saves you time at all. Just kind of answering all of these questions. So let's just go ahead and jump in. Alright, so this is day 2. The biggest discomfort that I felt since last night was 1, the sleeping upright, only because I like to move and put my face on the pillow. And 2, I did experience a little bit of an itch sensation. Other than that, I haven't really experienced pain. I've kept myself out of the sun, and I did apply the ointment that she recommended that I continue to use. I can definitely see spots where I need a retouch. I think these are going to be more evident after I actually see the healed process. As you start the healing process, you will see that some spots in your eyebrow will retain more pigment than others. So after the healing process is done, I think roughly after the 7 days, start to see those areas a little bit more. So for me, this is day 2. Right now I'm not wearing any makeup other than mascara. This is day 2, and I can definitely see some spots need a little bit of work or the retouch. It's also a little bit of redness in the mix. So your skin is healing, but it's also a bit pinker or redder because of that. Alright guys, so I wanted to show you what you would look like if you just walked out the door, you didn't touch your eyebrows, and you got microblading. This is probably the #1 question that I received. A lot of people think that microblading your eyebrows is going to be the same result across the board, and that is a big no-no. If you already have hair and you decide to go over it with microblading, think of it microblading as creating hair strokes that are going to eventually fade into a tint. So for me, I did not have hair at the very top of this eyebrow. So if I just kind of comb down my hair, you can see that all of the tint right here is a microblading. So if I comb it back up, you get to see that it just kind of created a tint. This eyebrow as well, you can tell where I actually have hair and where the microblading kind of tinted the area. So for me, this would not be enough to walk out the door. This is very natural, very minimal makeup, and I still feel kind of naked with just my eyebrows like this. I think point #1, the big benefit of microblading when you don't have hair or you have not quite mastered your eyebrow shape, this is going to save you time. I would not have to create the shape and shade as intensely maybe in the morning, since I already have the tint already outlined. So I wanted to show you what you would look like if you just depended on microblading and you do very minimal makeup, what you would actually be looking like. So this is my second session of microblading, and for the most part all the little scabs have fallen off. I think right now the weird part is your skin gets really dry and bumpy, and it takes a couple weeks to kind of like get your skin back to normal as far as like smoothness. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring you in so that you can kind of see. So as you can see, all of this right here is super bumpy and just gross. So if I run it back, you can kind of see where the hair strokes are and where the shading is taking place. So even though this is my second session, I feel like I'm not 100% happy with this darkness. I think that maybe 2 more sessions would kind of do the job. But again, I'm focusing on areas where I did not have hair at all. So I feel like from 0 to this, it was totally worth it for me, and I will probably continue to just kind of retouch. Most of my everyday life, I don't wear a lot of makeup or makeup at all, and the big worry for me was, since I didn't have hair at the top, it just kind of looked like I had a little tiny string of eyebrow. And sometimes you don't want to shade your eyebrows, like if you're going to the gym or you're going somewhere quick. I felt like getting this procedure done for me was mostly kind of making sure that I had that tint where it didn't look like just a stringy eyebrow, you know? You kind of got to see the final result after 2 sessions. Again, it just depends on how you are going to recover. Like for me, this was 2 sessions. For you, the second session can be way lighter or darker. So it just kind of depends on your skin and your recovery process. Really quickly, I wanted to show you how you would shade in your eyebrows, or how quickly you would shade in your eyebrows once you have it microbladed. And for me, I don't really intensify the eyebrow too much.
It's delicious.
So right away you can tell that this one is shaded and this one is my natural eyebrow. I feel like you could do either or. I just feel like it's better for me to match if I'm wearing makeup, to do like a light shade, so just to balance out the face. You could just use a brow gel on this side and you can walk out the door. For me, it cut the shaping time because I didn't really need to try that much. So all I would do next is, once I have it shaded, I would just go in with a colored gel just to kind of set the eyebrow in place, and we're basically done. So this would be something that I would do every day. Once I shade in my eyebrow, I would just like to go in with a colored brow gel. It just fills all the little areas where I might not have it as dark as I want it, and I feel like it makes if I'm wearing like a darker eyeliner or more intense lashes, it just kind of balances out the look. For me, if I am wearing makeup, then I'm probably going to just shade it in a little bit just to make sure that my whole look is balanced. Especially if I'm doing a full glam, then I would shade my eyebrows exactly the same or maybe a little bit more intense, just to kind of match the makeup style that I'm going for. Do you see that? Do you see, like, I had no hair and now I have a tint? Alright, so I went ahead and just kind of evened out my eyebrows. If I'm wearing makeup, this is probably as dark as I'm gonna go. If I want like a bolder brow or I want a lighter brow, this is usually the routine that I do. And usually I try to shade them a softer brown than my natural hair color. I feel really weird because I'm not wearing fake eyelashes, but you know, we're trying out a new mascara, didn't work out. I tried to pile up mascara, so right now it's looking kind of weird. let's talk about the breakdown of most of the questions that I got and that I had myself going into this. So the first question that I got was pricing. And pricing is really going to come down to where you live. I've heard anywhere from $100 all the way to $900. I know locally I am in South Texas, and it ranges from $100 all the way to about $500, and it just depends. This can include one session or both of your session in a bundle price. So personally, I got the 2 sessions in a bundle price for $250 with a local artist. And I started kind of like investigating about this. I looked into several studios here locally, and I really wanted someone that was going to pay attention to what my eyebrows needed, that had good artistic skills, because they have to go in and hand stroke every single hair and kind of know how intense, where to put it. So all of those things, I feel like you need to have some kind of artistic eye to actually like shape the brow, really work with the client's needs and wants, and also do a good job. So is it painful is probably the #1 question that I myself was wondering. I do know that there is numbing cream involved, and my major concern was, could I get an allergic reaction? Because I did see a couple of people, a small percentage that had an allergic reaction and their eyes swelled up and they ended up in the ER. I was just like super traumatized. So I asked questions until I felt comfortable going in with the numbing cream and the things that my local artist was using. So basically the process is you get there and you go knowing that it can take like an hour up to 2.5 hours. So the way that you are scheduled, you're always scheduled in advance. I guess you go in knowing that it's going to take a while, right? And I didn't know how long exactly I was going to be waiting with the numbing cream. So the numbing cream is usually anywhere from 25 minutes to 30 minutes, just depending. And they'll put the numbing cream on your eyebrow area, and then she'll put like a saran wrap kind of layer, and you just kind of hang out there for 30 minutes, right? And I feel like with the 30 minutes, you really don't feel pain. I was thinking, well, I wasn't really sure what the difference was between a tattoo brow and a microbladed brow. And so I went in fearing like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna get a tattoo and it's gonna hurt, and I don't know if I wanna do this, you know? So I was kind of like anxious. But basically the tattoo needle is way harsher, it's heavier, and it's gonna distribute pigment in a much stronger sense. That's why tattoos have a thicker outline, or it's just a whole different process. Microblading is literally a blade that kind of strokes or kind of makes a little cut, and the pigment will be put over so that it can deposit, and therefore you can have little hair-like strokes. Knowing that kind of eased my anxiety about it. So after the 30 minutes, you will go and you'll lay down in the like little spa bed, and she'll put the light over you. It's basically going to consist of 3 rounds. Let's just put it that way. So 3 rounds. And she's going to mark out the eyebrow shape, so from the beginning all the way to the outer edge. Is going to kind of see where your hair grows, to what direction, where you need filling, and how you want your eyebrows to be filled. For me, I kind of came in with a shaded brow. I just wanted to fill the top of the eyebrows, so that helped a lot ease my anxiety about the shape. So within the 3 rounds, it's basically she's going to go in and start kind of like creating those hair-like strokes. For me, I think the part that was kind of the weirdest was hearing the scratching of the skin, if that makes sense. It's super weird, I can't really describe it, but as she's going and like cutting, I can hear that happening. I would say that the first 2 rounds I felt very minimal pain. By the 3rd round, I feel like in certain areas like the arches, I felt it a little bit more intense, but she'll make sure to ask if you're okay, if it hurts or whatever is going on, usually you can say something, right? And if it really comes down to it, she'll put more numbing cream and then we can continue the process. But I think, I mean, overall, the pain level, I would say maybe a 2 or 3 out of a 10. So it is completely bearable even if you cannot tolerate pain. All right, so the next section we are talking about is the recovery process. What should I do? What should I not do? So basically this is super easy. You go in knowing that 7 days you will be out of the sun. You will not be able to wet your face, your eyebrows, and you cannot do any sweating. When I planned this out for the summer because I knew that if I took a little bit longer than 7 days, I didn't have any major commitments. For me, I chose to stay inside and, you know, try not to go outside at all. I was wearing a cap and glasses. You can feel it right away when you walk out of the session that your eyebrows start to kind of feel like they're on fire. And within the recovery time, you go from feeling like they're on fire to they're super itchy and you just want to scratch them off. So for me, it was off and on. The first session, I think I felt it more. The second session, I think I already knew what to expect, so I just tried to stay busy so that I would not be tempted to scratch. But I think that the 7 days is pretty doable. Now, after the 7 days, you can go back to your regular routine. I say it just depends on you. If you feel comfortable by day 7 that you're ready to go back to, you know, the outside, the gym, whatever, and you feel fine, great. I would say just kind of evaluate and slowly work yourself back into your normal routine, because if you're going straight into the sun, you might still feel that extra dryness and that a little bit of a burn. So during the 7 days and really after your session is done, she's going to put a hyper rash cream. Not going to soak your eyebrows, you're just going to lightly, very little on a Q-tip, kind of apply it, and you're supposed to reapply it every day. The first session, I definitely overdid it and I feel like I went crazy. The second session, I feel like I was very minimal. Only when I felt like I needed to retouch that area is when I reapplied that cream. Get a whole little pack. I don't think you're even gonna go through like a fourth of that because you use so little. So towards the end of the 7 days, you start to feel a lot of itching sensation, and the itching sensation is really just your skin telling you that it's recovering and it's healing and it's basically creating scabs. I was really tempted to go in myself and just peel off whatever I could, but I would advise that you let the skin get rid of those scabs by themselves. I would not recommend that you jump straight back into your brow pomade, your brow pencil after the 7 days. Give yourself a couple of extra days to make sure that you already shed the scab, that you feel comfortable enough to where it doesn't burn, it's not irritated, before you go into a full makeup application as far as your eyebrows. I feel like with everybody it's going to be different, but I did give myself a little bit extra time before I put on makeup again, and when I did, I was very like cautious about how much, how I felt, so it really just depends on you. In this recovery time of the 7-day period, I decided that I was not going to wear any makeup at all. The only thing that I was really doing, I was reviewing mascaras, but other than that, I was not putting on foundation, primer, nothing. Because I'm so used to washing my face twice a day that not being able to wash it kind of freaked me out. I didn't want to clog my skin without actually needing to. I would say that if you absolutely need to work with makeup in this time, you have to be very careful that it's not anywhere near your eyebrows, because you have the rash cream on. So the thing with the rash cream, at least for me, felt like even if I didn't wear a lot of rash cream, it was going to kind of eventually end up on my eyelid. And the first session, I did break out all on my forehead and just kind of like around the eye area. So the second session, I was making sure to get a wipe and just kind of wipe underneath and on top, not touching the eyebrows. So it really just depends on your skin type. I have very sensitive dry skin, so These are just some tips. So lastly, I just want to address like a couple of questions. So the major question is microblading for everyone? Is it for me? What should I go expecting and what am I gonna get? For me, when I decided to go and get microblading, I knew that I wanted help filling in the sections where I did not have hair at all. I did not go expecting a Instagram brow. I did not go expecting this dark of a brow. I think I did enough research to where I knew that what I was paying for was kind of like a tint in a way. I knew that I wasn't going to get a super strong brow, so I was going to feel more confident going about with my bare face because I knew that my eyebrows were going to look a little bit fuller. When I did my research, I also saw a lot of videos on YouTube that were complaining and saying that microblading was a waste of their money because they needed to do 10 sessions in order to get where they wanted to get. And I think the problem there was that they were expecting a super full dark brow, and that's really not a realistic expectation in my opinion for microblading. Unless you have super full eyebrows and you're going to fill in like minimal sparse areas, maybe you could get that darker tint, but in reality microblading is just helping correct if you have a scar and you don't have hair, if you don't have hair period, if you need help sculpting the brow. I think that microblading is going to help you get there, minimize your time in filling in your eyebrows, or if you don't know what shape goes with you, the technician will help you get there. But I feel like when you're going in and asking for microblading, do your research and kind of go accepting that you might retain more pigment or you might not retain more pigment. So basically, like for me, I started my sessions and my eyebrows looked like this or way darker, and at first I was freaking out, but then after they faded and I waited a month for my next session, I felt like it had given me just the right amount of tint. I was going to go through my everyday life with no makeup. At least my eyebrows looked like they were a little bit thicker, and that problem had been kind of like solved for me. I think overall microblading can be a great help for your eyebrow routine in general. If you're willing to pay the price, right, financially and with the recovery process, I think that if you are looking to sculpt your brows to get them a little bit fuller or just kind of correct an area, it's totally worth it. If you're going into microblading thinking, oh my goodness, I'm gonna waste $200, $500 and I'm not gonna get the dark brows that I want, I think save your money and invest in a good brow pomade and just kind of accept that you're gonna have to fill them in every day. So it just depends on your personal preference, what your needs are, what your budget is, but I definitely recommend this process, even if you just wanna just try it. Even if you feel that you have perfect brows, I would say if you have the money and the time to go try it, I think your brow shape and your brows in general would benefit greatly from this little boost of confidence. Alright guys, that wraps up the video. If you still have questions or concerns or I missed something that you wanted to know, please comment down below. But like I said, I'm really happy with my results. I'm probably going to go back next summer and just kind of do a retouch, see where we can go from there. But for now, I feel like it was totally worth it for me. I went from like super bald spots, not having anything, to having some kind of tint and hair-like strokes in that area. I definitely recommend trying it and going with your local artist. Doing your research before you actually book your session so that you can have the best results possible. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time.